Evidence. What do we got? We got photos. So you got photos of Bigfoot evidence. You got photos of tree structures. You got photos of footprints, um, tree breaks, tree snaps. How do we know that's what that's from? Did you see the Bigfoot do all this? And if so, then you probably got a photo of Bigfoot. Or is it a blob squatch? Uh, I see a lot of those out there, blob squatches. Like, I don't understand them. If you got to circle it, if you've got to circle something in the picture, is it really even there? It'd be like me sending you a picture of my son and having to circle it and say, here's my son. Do you not see him? Shouldn't have to circle things if it's in the picture. I understand some people do, and that's fine. I just think if I took a picture of my tree out here that I know there's not a Bigfoot there, and you send me back, yeah, there he is. Can't you see him peeking over the corner? I just don't think that's evidence. I personally, but I'm skeptical. I'm getting more and more skeptical every day. Um, Maybe that's just me. Maybe it really is Bigfoot out there, and I'm not open to seeing him. I mean, my mind is not open to perceiving uh, in that moment. Uh, that's what I think about the pictures. But I want to see them. I want to see them all. If y'all got evidence, you got pictures, let's see them. Let's talk about them. Also, what are we hearing out there? Man, I've been out so many times. So many times I've been out there walking, hiking. I think I hear something off behind me, or off to the side of me. I'm like, all right, here we go. It's on. Something's happening. Turns out a lot of those footfalls behind me, a lot of those noises of limbs breaking or rustling behind me is the brim of my hat just rubbing my backpack. A lot of times I wear my hat backwards out there. And I mean, it just softly just touches it, or my beard, uh, flannel shirt or jacket, or even the strap of my pack. If you're just walking and you move, the slightest little noise out there when it's so quiet out in the woods, it sounds like footfalls, and then you got your adrenaline going already, and your blood's pumping, and there's something back there. A lot of times it's really not. We got to stop. We got to think about that. What we got going on. Even the smallest noises sound huge in the woods. Any hunter will tell you that when they're ready, they're excited to get them a deer. Stupid squirrel or chipmunk sounds like a 10-point coming through there. The slightest thing, your adrenaline can get pumped and can change things. But we got to really be subjective and think about what our evidence really is. And what are we looking at? That's a few thoughts on photos. Scat. I'm obviously not an expert in this field. I would love to meet someone that is, because I've got a lot of pictures that I have questions about. I have a lot of evidence. What do you guys do when you see scat? Do you bag it? Do you just walk on by, think it's nothing? Personally, I just grab that stuff up, feel it, is it warm, smell it, throw it in a bag. Hell yeah, I got some scat. Let's go. No, I do not do that. But I do take pictures. If it's something unusual, I'll, break a stick, break it apart, see what it is in there. I'm just curious, see what it is. Is it a bear? Is it a dog? Is it a cat? What is it? What are they eating? What's going on out there? Uh, I take lots of photos. I've got lots of photos of scat. I'm unsure of size comparisons. Huge, huge samples. I just don't know. I personally, I'm not going to grab any to take it in for a sample and get it submitted to any kind of testing. That's just me. I hope there's people out there that do. I'm not. That being said, uh, hair samples with the DNA samples. I've got some hair samples submitted for the analysis at NC State. Well, speaking of those hairs, I've heard so many different tales, the types of hair they have, like how thin their hair is. You can obviously tell it's hair; it's not coarse. or it is coarse, or the color, it's jet black, or it's this, or it's that, or it's white, or that. How brittle it is, the texture, the length. um, just everything. I'm curious. Like, are we stuck on these sizes that we hear? The most common 3 to 4 is what I hear, or a lot of times 5 and 6 sometimes. But why can't it be longer? Why can't an older one with a beard? They say, why can't it? Why can't it have a longer hair? Like for example, like I said, hair samples. I have actually collected some hair. I've got them ready for the DNA samples for the NC State. They're pretty long. They're anywhere from 8 to 12 inches, depending if you stretch them out or leave them natural. I mean, they got a little. They're not really kinky. They're wavy. Um, but I've got several of these, and I chalked one of them up to redneck science. I was, a couple of us out there just playing with it, seeing what it is. Because like I say, they say how thin it is, so we measured it. The samples I have are anywhere between 1 and 2 thousandths of an inch thick, depending on how accurate or which micrometer we were using. That's pretty thin, pretty thin. Um, it's white. It's super thin, and it's strong. Uh, Compared it, like I said, to the redneck test. So we, plucked out several samples of my beard or next guy's beard or this woman's hair or this guy's hair. Everybody had different textures, different styles, different everything, and we compared them to it, and nothing. It was unlike anything, unlike any of them. It's just long. It passes all the tests that, except for the DNA test. The results we've yet to hear from. But the only difference in all these things that everyone tells me is the length. But then I contacted a friend of mine, asked this person, hey, you ever heard of a Bigfoot being white? Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, a white one. Yeah, it's got such and such length hair. Yeah, it's pretty long. Uh, do me a favor, take that hair and put it on a piece of white paper. I'll tell you if it's a Bigfoot or not. I was like, what? What does that mean? White hair on white paper. I mean, I'm gonna see it. It's a hair. I can take my beard hair out, lay it on a piece of white paper. I see it. What does this got to do with anything? Just do it. All right. So in this test, I do it. I lay it down. Hair disappeared. Exactly how this person said it would happen. White hair on white paper completely disappeared. Pretty wild. So like I said, I don't know what to make of any of that. Uh, but we've got it up for the DNA sample at NC State, and we'll see. But I mean, I'd like for anyone got comments or suggestions or knows exactly what this hair is without DNA. I'm open for it. You tell me what has extremely thin hair, like I said, between 1 and 2 thousandths of an inch thick. I would say roughly 8 to 12 inches long, white, almost see-through white, just and extremely thin. What animal has that running through the woods? Uh, I, I'm drawing a blank. I don't know. Like I said, I'm no expert. I may be biased. I may be overlooking something intentionally or unintentionally, but I don't know. Um, I don't know. So let's go on to footprints. Uh, they're really hard to judge, but I think you should take several pictures of multiple different angles. That's what got me into this. Actually, was footprints. I just happened to walk along, and I was like, that's a really big footprint. Took a couple pictures of it. Didn't know what I was doing. Didn't know how to cast. I knew nothing about Bigfoot. I mean, I knew everybody knows about Bigfoot, but like I didn't know what to do or what to expect. It's not my problem. Not here. Not where I live. Uh, but I took lots of pictures, and after I got into it, I got to learning that my pictures were crap. Yeah, I took size comparison photos, but I try to just take straight down. I feel like now everyone is skeptical and no, it was this, it was that. You made this up. So again, I didn't cast it. Didn't know anything about casting. So I thought it was wild. I wasn't out there looking for a Bigfoot. I was just out there for a hike, run on these crazy prints, man. Uh, I took some size comparison photos, but I think now what I've been hearing and what I'm learning, if you're not going to cast or you don't have the material, take your photos, put something there, side by side comparison, but take several photos at several different angles, straight down, take one north, south, east, west, all that, take all your angles. If you've got a dollar bill, put a dollar bill beside it. A lot of people think, I'll put my hand or my foot beside mine. Everybody fusses. Oh, well, we don't know that. Well, I know how big my hand is. I know how big my foot is. I can extrapolate that and do the math and tell you exactly how big this is if I don't have a tape measure. But, tape measure, dollar bill. A lot of people say dollar bill. It is what it is. Casting, if you can cast it, that'd be amazing. If you can't cast it, if you got some way of covering it to get back to cast it, I know I've been out a few times, like, I'm just going to run up here real quick. I'm not going to do anything, and then just get distracted and go on and not have my kit with me. And I'm like, man. But, if you can cover it up. But fortunately, on those times, I've not ran into it. But cover it up if you can until somebody gets out there. But if you've got casting tips or if you've got casts, send them in. Let's hear them. Talk about it. Help us out. Teach. Learn from each other. I think we should corroborate our findings, like with that, with anything, even with like sounds, getting back to the noises we hear or seeing things. If we point it out, like if you're with someone else, like in the woods, do you point it out immediately and say, "Did you hear that? Did you see that?" It's a toughie for me because like I want to know what someone else hears, and obviously I'm biased because that's what I'm out there for. But say for instance a tree knock or a noise in the woods, and I'm like, did you hear that tree knock just now? The wood knock, did you hear it? Right there, right then, from that direction, you heard that tree knock, didn't you? You heard it. Now that person's already like, oh shit, yeah, I guess I heard a tree knock, just based on my opinion. They've already got their own opinion formed. Or you wait to see, if the other person responds at the same way as you do without the same input or without your input. Like, for example, I've been on a hike with a non-believer who knew nothing of Bigfoot. They're just like, yeah, I'll go on a hike with you. Nature's, I'm for it. It's awesome. I was like, cool, let's go. But this person was having experiences of their own, without me telling them or informing them. They knew I was out there for Bigfoot, but they knew nothing of Bigfoot, like not what to expect or what signs were. Neither did I when I got into this, but as I've researched, and that's what like I said, the whole point of this is. But I was out there, we're hiking. We took a break. I was like, hey, you want to just hang out right here? I'm going to walk down, check this area out. I've always wanted to, but I try not to venture too far off trail when I'm alone, way down deep in these areas when I'm alone, because, it's easy to get lost out there. And when you're alone, like I said, there's no one knows where you're at, no cell service, whatever. So I'm like, hey, you just hang out right here. I'm going to run down here real quick. So I go down there. I check it out. While I'm down there, I walked up on 2 deer. I was like, that's crazy. So I stood there probably a little bit longer than I should. Didn't think nothing of it. And I was like, oh, yeah. I turn around. I go back to this person. And they're just standing there. They're just like, they're pointing off in the direction, not really talking. I'm like, oh, are you all right? Not really used to the woods, crap, I was going too far too long. I run back up there. I'm like, you all right? Oh, yeah, I'm good. But there's something over there. I'm like, what do you mean there's something over there? Like, there's something right over there. Oh, yeah, I watched 2 deer down there just a few minutes ago. No. I saw those deer too. This wasn't the deer. When you first walked down there, something threw something at you across the trail. Something threw it. I was like, you mean something fell from a tree and you saw that land, or like a leaf flutter? Threw it across the trail. So it could have bounced and went across. Oh, yeah, okay, probably. Yeah, if something can fall from a tree and bounce and get thrown with velocity directly across at eyesight level towards your direction across the trail and then hit the ground, then yeah, it probably fell from a tree. I was like, I didn't say anything. I didn't comment. I was like, oh, okay, well, how'd that make you feel? I don't want to give them input and say, hey, Bigfoot supposedly are prone to throw things at you. It's like, how do you feel about it? I noticed it. It was odd. Just odd. I don't know. I was like, okay, cool. Sounds strange, but let's go on, So later on the same hike, we're both just walking. We hear a distinct tree knock, wood knock. I mean, just boom. I mean, and without hesitation, both of us just snapped around. We both looked at it, same spot, same everything. Then looked back at each other and looked back at what we were looking at. So in that moment, I know I didn't persuade this person. Snap. What was that? They asked me, what was that? I don't know. You heard it though, right? Yeah, I heard it. What was it? I don't know. It was in that direct. Yeah, it was definitely right there is what I heard. So we both agreed. Same moment. There was no, did you, that was right there. It was, we heard the same thing. So there was no persuasion there. But then on a later hike with that same person, we were paced, I guess you'd say, for about 3 miles down this road. Um, Again, this is something not known to this person. We're just walking down this road. It's like a gravel road, like a service road, where we're at. I was on the left as we were walking. They were on the right. We're going down. I kept noticing them. They'd look off to their right, kind of off, just behind them a little bit. And they'd walk and they'd look. And just had confusion. And every time I'd see that, well, I'd go to look to see what was going on, but then I would hear something distract me over here on the left in the woods on my side. So, I'm getting distracted. So now I'm trying to figure out what's going on over here. We got a squirrel playing or what, I don't know. We don't see anything. Or what's happening here? We keep walking. I don't comment. But there's just constant looking. Let's stop this person. You good? I mean, we're out there. So we did 12 miles average. But at this point, I think we're at 5 miles. We're out there. And I'm just like, are you good? You tired? You need a break? No. Okay. I just kept going. All right. Just chalking it up to, whatever. They keep going. They keep looking. I'm like, what is going on? What are you looking at? Because I keep hearing stuff and I'm already preoccupied. I'm nervous a little bit just to see what's happening. I'm looking for whoever's following us back there. Following us. Yeah, the person that keeps following us in the woods right over here. We're walking on the road and they keep following me. You don't hear them. You don't see them. I can't see them. But every time I take off walking, they're walking. Every time we stop, they stop. That's why I keep stopping randomly. But I can't see them. It's like, I don't see anyone. I don't think there's anyone over there. I mean, we're pretty deep in here. I don't imagine anyone's back there. Yeah, me neither. But someone's following us. All right, I'll keep a lookout. Well, same thing. We take off walking. Every time they look back, I look. I'm distracted. We just keep going. I don't mention anything about being paced because I don't want to freak out. They don't want to freak out. I mean, we still had 6 or 7 miles to go at this point to get back to the car to safety, if you will. I'm not going to go suffer a panic attack where someone and have to drag them out. Just like keep everyone calm. So later on, we get back to the car, and that's when I start mentioning. It's like that sound we heard. Uh, they report that. It's a real common reporting of the Bigfoots around. It's what they call a tree knock. Would you say that's kind of what you heard? Oh yeah, it was definitely wood on wood. It was pretty wild. I don't know. All right. Start the car. We go to leave. Everything's calm. So those noises when we were walking, right? Yeah, that was crazy. That person followed us. That wasn't a person. I mean, who's following us that far in the woods? And yeah, well, something was. I was like, well, that's a really common reported thing that at least that I know of, being paced. But I didn't want to say it. I'm sorry. How do you feel now? Well, I'm glad you didn't tell me at the moment, but I don't know. Indifferent. I didn't see anything. So I'm just curious to know, what are your opinions on that? What was the perception of that? Should I have told them? Should I not have told them? It's pretty wild to me that they were having these experiences. It's always documented. Now, does it matter if this person is male or female? A believer or non-believer? So, say this person was a male believer and we're walking through the woods, but doesn't know anything. Are we imagining this? Now, say this person is a female believer and we're walking through the woods. and has this? Does it matter that it's a female non-believer, such and such? I'm just curious. I want to know. I mean, do you think the female aspect matters? The being alone matters? 2, 3, 4 people? What is our ideas on our groups? I don't know. When I find things like, I always try to reach out and get help with them. But I always try to refrain from leading the people, just like the same thing with the stories. I just want to know. Like I said, I've become more skeptical since I started collecting these things, and tree structures is something that's always made me skeptical. I've seen photos of what I would call obviously natural occurrences, but I've also experienced some of those photos and some in real life that leave you scratching your head. I got an area down here, my research area, if you will. I mean, is it really research? I mean, I'm not really researching. I don't have a lab that I'm diagnosing these things in. But in my research area, that I've come to call the nursery. I've just named different sections, so easy to keep track of. But I call it the nursery. The reason I've given it this name is because I asked a very good friend of mine. We've talked about her. She almost instantly told me what it was. Janice Carter. She said, "Hey," I said, "Hey, I got this tree bend. It's bent over." She's like, "Yeah, okay. That's what this is." And they do this. And I was like, "Okay, well, it's just in the middle of nowhere. It's just bent over, a perfect arch, almost perfect circumference of a sphere, And she's like, and it's held down by this and that. And I was like, yeah. She's like, go look at this. This will be there. Okay. Yeah. All that was there, And she's like, so what I think that is well, in my experience, she's like, that's a nursery. That's like the entry doorway to a nursery. Give them something to play on. Just a sign of, hey, little ones, come in here and play. What? A nursery? All right. So I don't know. But I'm like, cool, I'll check this out. But she told me, she's like, that's a sign of give them their space, When you see that, give them the space with all these different signs that, we see. I was like, all right, cool. So I go back out. I'm there every weekend. I go out a lot. So I go out on this Friday after seeing them last weekend. I'm talking to her. I go out on Friday. There's 5 more of these bins, tree bins, directly behind this tree. Wow. That kind of freaked me out a little bit. There was no storm the week prior, between the weekend prior. I was like, well, that's crazy. I don't know what would cause this. Kind of freaked me out a little bit. I just took, I was like, all right, I'm going to go on. I'm not going in there because I'm alone. I don't know. It's kind of off trail up through a creek bottom. I mean, they were right up, all the way up leading this creek bottom. I didn't want to follow it. And if she's right, there I am. If she's not, whatever. But I just, for that day, I was like, no, I'm not going. Then I got thinking all weekend about it. Well, not all weekend. This is Friday. So Sunday, I'll go back. I'm going to walk up this creek bed. Now, mind you, at this point, I am 7 to 8 miles into a 12, 13 mile hike. Don't know how far this creek bed is going to go when I'm tired, but I've got the courage. I'm going. I get down there. There's only one. The original one. I didn't have the courage to go anymore. So if this is a nursery, this is them saying maybe it is, maybe it ain't. I don't know. I need someone to go with me to go down there and do that, but I didn't go back. It was pretty wild. I was like, all right. I don't know. You can say what you would about it, but I just thought it was odd, so I didn't go in. And now I can rule out the human aspect on these things because, well, I can't rule it out, obviously, but I think I can. It's because of the distance where I'm at, the locations that I'm at. And if somebody's doing this to me, I mean, they're just extremely bored. Like I said, 12 miles on average. I can't get people to go with me and lie to them. Hey, we're going to walk 1 mile. I mean, I just can't get people to go with me, let alone someone to follow me, stalk me, or run up in front of me and leave evidence, if you will, without being noticed. I don't see it happening. Like, for instance, experience that I've had. I've been followed for 2 solid miles without ever seeing anything behind me. I can say 2 miles with confidence because, like I said, I track everything. I keep my GPS on. 2 solid miles. I could hear it. I could, the feeling something's watching me. I could feel it. I couldn't see it. I'd walk. I'd stop. Periodically, there's something back there. I just had to ignore it because you don't want to freak yourself out. Like I said, rule number 1, don't freak out. Don't get excited. You just got to go on. So I'm texting Dr. John Barenshot, while I'm out there. And while this little period that I've got service, I'm texting him. I'm like, hey, this is what we're doing. We were setting up some field experiments. I was sending photos of them and stuff. And I originally first noticed I was being followed. I was like, hey, just by the way, something's following me. Not like he could do anything, he's 4 hours away, but if something did happen, at least someone knew where I was at. So I go on, going about my way, and like I said, I take photos of everything. So I walk up on this footprint in the sand, this weird random spot of sand in the trail. I'm like, that's odd. I paused there for a little bit, forgot about being followed, forgot that whole instance. I walk on up the trail. I see another limb broke. This thing's about 7 foot in the air. Didn't see any horses that day, but I was still taking pictures of it and I was talking. I was taking a break. I tried to get a good video of it. And I was walking this way. I turned directly around to try and get this video. At this point, I'm here for about 5 minutes in the break, texting. Something in the brush. There's this tall brush, mind you. I mean, I could barely see the trail where I was at. I mean, it was just tall. It was up at least 4 or 5 feet high. Something within 5 to 15 feet. I know I'm a stickler for distances and measurements, but I can't really say for sure because of the adrenaline, like I said. Something between 5 and 15 feet. It was just a release of air, just a tremendous release of air, and I say it that way because it wasn't like aggressive, and it wasn't like, I don't know, it wasn't a deer snort, how they'll snort at you or whatever. Someone followed me for 2 miles and then snuck up to me, got that close to me while I was facing them, and then released air that close to me. I was like, I'm out. All right, cool. That's a sign. I don't know what that was, but whatever it was, I didn't like that at the moment. So I just turned around. Obviously, you don't run, but I just walked out. I mean, that's not a human. I mean, it could be, but you're good. If you can follow me for 2 miles out here, not knowing when I stop or anything, and you can follow me for 2 miles through the woods and get that close to me in the brush, I would have seen the brush move, I don't know. So later on, I told Janice about this. She just laughed at me. I was like, what? It's pretty crazy, though. I mean, have you heard of that? She's laughing at me. She's like, let me guess, you were on such and such trail. She knows this area well. I was like, yeah, I was. I mean, I didn't tell her. I just told her, I was walking, told her what had been followed. She said, oh, yeah, that sounds like one of the ones up there that I know very well. She named him. I can't remember the name exactly right now. I was like, what? She's like, oh, yeah, he's mischievous. He enjoys stalking people. I was like, what? Yeah. She's like, oh, yeah. She's like, and then when you just paused there for a minute, it sounded like you got bored. I was like, what do you mean got bored? She's like, yeah, like a kid. And I was like, holy crap. That's exactly what he did. I mean, it was literally like a teenage kid. I got almost teenage daughter, 12-year-old. 11-year-old son, he does the same thing. Tell him to do something. They're bored. That's exactly what it was, but it was just so much air. I don't know. And so I've just been so curious to how this thing could get so close to me when the trail was so thick and it was barely visible. How could it do that? How did it get up in there? It's always bothered me. And I've been hearing these stories on different podcasts and stuff about how people were out cutting trails, real thick underbrush, and they're cutting them out, and all of a sudden they just boom, just like an animal highway, just like a trail, just off the main trail, just boom, and you could just walk through. It's like you could drive a car through it, whatever. I was like, that got me thinking. I was like, man, next time I go through there and I get a chance, I'm gonna cut up and see what I can see. And sure enough, man, I went through this brush, went through the underbrush. It's about 5 feet in this area, 5, 10 feet. Boom, opened up, briars. I mean, you could drive a car through it. Paralleled the main trail, paralleled that thing 5 to 10 feet off of it as it zigzagged, S turns in and out. That explains it. I mean, something could easily just walk through there unseen while you're on the trail, walk up through, see you, and you're not paying attention because you're thinking it's right there. I mean, this thing was wild. I don't know. Let me know what y'all think. I mean, because that'd be how they move so stealthy. They've got their little highway off trail just a little bit. I know in my personal experience, I don't think they walk directly on the main trail. Just from the footprints that I found, the photos I've got. The first day I was out, I found one right on the main trail, but it was crossing the trail. I found 3 of them in a trackway. I thought that was odd. 6 miles in, I followed a set. Well, I followed a set for 6 miles. They weren't consecutive. It was here, there, whatever, but it was along 6 miles when I noticed and didn't. And they were just off the trail. So I'm walking on the main trail and you brush it off and you'd see these footprints off trail, but then they disappeared and then they'd come back and they disappear. So is that what they're doing? Are they going into this little highway to get out a site? They'll use it when they don't use it when I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, let me know what you guys think. It's just curious. And again, if y'all got any experiences or anything you'd like me to talk about, I want to talk about everything. I want to talk to non-believers. Why don't you believe? Believers, why do you believe? If you got evidence, let's discuss it. Let's see what we can get. See who we can get in touch with. Let's just talk about everything, man. If y'all got any questions or comments, like I said, just feel free to let me know. Email me at squatcher1222@gmail. Like they always say, I guess, like and subscribe. If you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. I'm not in this to make money. I like the discussion. Appreciate it, guys. Good night.